Hello and welcome to episode 2. Now, something happened with episode 2 that I'm not going to bullshit you. We use a free podcast studio at a local city basement. That's where we are right now. And because we use this studio and we are not podcasting professionals, we borrow all of the equipment that you see in the shots. And here's the deal. We don't really totally know what we're doing yet. It's only our second episode. And the settings on the little machine over there, I don't even know what it's called. They got all fucked up. And so the audio kind of does this weird cutting thing. And that's why I'm wearing these, to make sure that this next episode, episode 3, which we're recording right now, doesn't have the same problem. So here's what I'm going to ask. I'm going to ask you to give us some grace, okay? It's a little bit painful to listen to, in my personal opinion, and yours if you're a judgy bitch like me. And so my advice to you is to listen to this at 1.5. I find that at 1.5, you don't notice the clips so much and you can actually hear us a bit better. So that's going to be my advice. And we're going to do better. We're going to get better every time. That's our commitment to you. But yeah, episode 2 is a little bit painful to listen to, but give it a go. Let us know what you think. Bye. She was only allowed to eat unsauced, unsalted, overcooked vegetables.
Might be one of the most cruel and unusual punishments of the book.
Yeah.
It was awful.
Mindfuck? Torture? Actual fucking? Fine. But no salt.
Right, take my eye, but do not take my salt.
Unforgivable. This is episode 2 of Reading Manacled, chapter 6 through 25. Warning.
So, yes, this podcast will include very dark themes, as did the last episode. So there will be spoilers. Spoilers abound, warnings all the way around. Again, little listening ears should not be present for this podcast.
That's right. And last time, I feel like the spoilers, because it was only the first 5 chapters, the spoilers weren't as crazy as they're going to be.
Yeah,
on this one.
Yeah, they were a little weak sauce last time. These are going to be very significant spoilers.
Right. So if you would like to read this book and be surprised, might I suggest going and doing that right now?
Yeah.
And then coming back to listen to this.
We'll still be here.
That's all we can do for you. Now let's get into Bookmarked. This is the first segment of each show where it's like a previously on. We kind of do a check-in with me because this is my first time reading Manacled, and Leah's old hat. She's read it twice.
I'm so jealous, actually, that this is your first time through.
That's what a great book will do to you. And so last episode, I got through 5 chapters. Now we are into 6, which is where the first raping happens. So it's intense. I think my entire current mental state can be summed up in 5 words.
Hit me.
Would you like to guess what they are?
How could I? I could never guess what's in your head. Just tell me.
Okay. Malfoy always comes for me.
Yeah, he does.
Moving right along to the margins. These are basically notes that I was taking as I was reading through this, weird little moments, and mostly my vibes from reading this. So my first point is that this mind-fucking is so gruesome. Like, the actual rape to me, like, obviously it's rape, but it was pretty tastefully done. Like, I've definitely read way more graphic rape scenes than this. Like, the rape to me was nothing. I got to where he fucks her mind, and I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. So this was in episode 1 where we talked about this is like the high school reunion from hell.
Yeah.
This mind fucking was like, you don't get anything to yourself.
No.
Like, to some degree, having your body rampage is obviously a terrible thing, but literally not having a single secret, a single thought to yourself, I was like, that is so next level.
Well, yeah, it's like there's no part of her left unviolated.
Yes.
It was very hard to read in some parts.
So at one point, Draco says, just as soon as you can bring yourself to walk through that door by yourself. Like, he's so fucking mean to her about it. Like,
Yes.
It's not enough that you are in my brain and you can see everything that's happening, but you also have to high school bully me about it. So many dimensions of utter cringe.
And Hermione as a character is someone who is also very private and very proud. And so this in particular, again, feels doubly devastating.
Yeah.
And she actually goes through the mind poking several times.
Right. Lots of gentlemen are in there mind poking her.
Oh, God. And each time, as more and more happens to her throughout the chapters, it just becomes more and more violating. And then they get to a point where Voldemort actually starts shredding her memories.
Yeah. And so the last thing that I'll say about this is by the end of chapter 6, I made a note because, again, this is a romance. So I know that Draco and her somehow fall in love. So by the end of chapter 6, I made a note that said, if I'm going to like him at some point, that's going to be a fucking miracle. Because, like, I cannot stand this motherfucker right now.
Yeah.
Like, what he is doing to her, I was like, this fucking guy.
Entirely valid. Yes.
Yeah.
And SenLinYu is a magic maker. So.
Well, we're going to get into it a little bit. Okay. Point number 2 is kill him in like all of the ways. So in episode 1, I was like, I don't really know why she isn't just not thinking about this stuff, that she knows that he's going to read her mind. And then like after he mind fucked her, I was like, I would like you to keep imagining additional painful ways for him to die for my benefit and for yours. How many ways could we kill this cocksucker? Like, how many ways?
Right.
How many ways?
Like, if you're going to violate me in that way, I'm going to make it as uncomfortable for you as possible.
Right. Like, I want you to watch me thinking of all of the worries that I want you to die.
I would have enjoyed that, actually.
Yeah. So point 3, we actually cut this from the first episode, but I originally had this take about how I tend to see men use food very specifically in books, like George R.R. Martin, guy who wrote Game of Thrones. He uses food a lot in symbolism, and so like every time you see a pig or a boar in that, something bad is happening, basically like a regime change is on the horizon. And so I was like, oh, it's interesting that food is just food here, but then it becomes like so deep because really, food like just is food to Hermione. Who has the time to think about what you're even eating when your entire existence is just a shell?
There's so many layers to this. Yes. So Astoria as a,
Terrible human being.
right. So this is where
Fucking hater.
she gets a little bit interesting, right? So, and then we get to that whole eye situation. Anyways, okay, we're staying on the free.
Girlfriend.
We're
Yeah.
staying on the
All right. I will hold my opinion of you that I had after I was reading that. But go ahead.
It's fine. Okay. So she orders the elves to make completely separate food for Hermione that has no flavor whatsoever. Overboiled, no salted, nasty food. This is found out because during one of the
Check-ins?
yeah, with Stroud, she's like, hey, why are your sodium levels so low? And she's like, well, I haven't had any salt. And she calls in Draco, who feels all blindsided, like, I didn't know. I thought she was eating the same thing that we were.
Men.
And he like starts to like chastise her for it. Like, why wouldn't you tell me that you were eating this awful food? And she was like, motherfucker, if I was going to give you a list of complaints, my unsalted food would be at like not even on the first page. And on top of that, I can't speak to you unless spoken to.
Right. So listen, I like this book. I'm into it. However, if you say or are still like not convinced you want to read the whole thing, or maybe you get it, Hermione has a terrible life here in the first act. Leah and I have caught you up so nicely, and you just want to get into Act 2. I think we can. Too Long Didn't Read, literally, quite a few of the chapters, like everything up until 19.
Oh my God. Blasphemy. Absolutely not. Don't listen to anything she just said. I wholeheartedly disagree.
I think you can. Here's what happens. Hermione starts to remember that Harry was dating Ginny and that Ginny was not trying to get pregnant. I actually misread that and thought she was trying to get pregnant, which I think might be like just some of my intuition coming out because, well, we won't get into my wild speculation yet. Ginny is like involved and dating Harry, which that's like news, right? Like Harry and Ginny, it's not like they were an item in Harry Potter.
Yeah, they were.
Oh, they were?
Yeah.
Fuck. Okay. Amazing. The whole idea here is that they are trying to mind poke Hermione and get everything that they can get out of her until she gets pregnant. And then once she gets pregnant, basically this is a theory, correct? Like they don't really have a lot of empirical evidence about the relationship between legitimacy and pregnancy, right? Because isn't the theory that once she's pregnant, if they try to legitimacy her, that it would be disruptive to the pregnancy?
Right. So, so part of the reason that they put her through this program is, yes, their theory is that during pregnancy, I don't know, some sort of magical alchemy that happens during pregnancy, I don't know, is going to remove the calcification around her memories so that then, yes, they can get into her memories through legitimacy.
Right. 2 birds, 1 stone. Repopulate with a badass wizard or witch, because Draco, although I hate him, is very powerful, obviously. And Hermione, we love her, is probably more powerful when she isn't manacled. And so they're going to have a badass baby. And then they also get the memories. So things start to come out, though. Like they're starting to decalcify on their own. So here are some other things that are happening. So Voldemort continues to be, I explain things my way and then you correct them. Okay. So Voldemort continues to be tethered basically to like life by objects. Is that what Horcrux do?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Look at me. Okay. And then Montague, great name. Again, by the way, that J.K. Rowling, because Montague's in the books, right? Or is he not?
I don't remember him in the books, to be honest. But it's been a long time since I read them, so that's terrible. Sorry.
Yeah. Like Astoria. I mean, these are great names. She really has a knack for naming characters.
Agreed.
This J.K. Rowling. So I love the name Montague, but he's a fucking asshole, okay? And so it turns out that Montague is basically responsible for capturing Hermione. And because he is responsible, he thinks he deserves a prize, like raping Hermione too. He sees her as
like a war prize.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah. He's disgusting as well. But here's the thing. Hermione, as it turns out, seems like she was a bit of a bad bitch. So
did anyone doubt that she was?
No, I know.
Come on.
But I didn't think that she was going to be like doing a prison rescue and killing a bunch of assholes. You know what I mean? Like that took me by surprise. So here is at this point where, so around chapter probably like 22-ish, I start to believe the following about our girl Hermione.
Okay.
I think she was the logic of the resistance. And you kind of gave me a clue on this last time because you said that there are 2 very distinct ideas about the ideal of hope. Mm-hmm. So it was a little bit of a clue. But I believe that Hermione was like the logic of the resistance. Basically, the resistance with Harry and the dudes was like, listen, we're the good guys. We're just going to win. We are going to work on our shield spells. And you can't go around killing people, even if they're trying to kill you. And Hermione was like,
math doesn't math.
Okay, people, I'm going to learn how to heal you because you definitely are going to get hurt. Because here is something you might not know about bad guys, but they're bad guys. And they are looking to kill us, hurt us, maim us, destroy us, imprison us, rape us, mindfuck us. They're bad guys. And I would like to help you solve when you get hurt. I will come and help you. That's the most pragmatic thing we can do for this resistance to help you idiots.
Yeah. None of you have any foresight. So I'm just going to be here taking care of all of y'all.
Yep.
Accurate.
That's what I now believe Hermione's role in the resistance was. And she also, I think towards like the 24-25 chapter, starts like talking about and remembering how isolating this was for her. Like she really lost her connection with Harry, and she also was in favor of tit for tat. Like if they try to kill you, maybe you kill them back or kill them first, instead of just thinking like, we're the good guys. Light always beats dark.
Yeah, no, the whole theme around good versus evil in this book is around that specifically. She goes to bat for using dark magic throughout for all of the reasons just laid out. And they're like, no, then we wouldn't be the good guys. So no, we're going to continue to just stun them and imprison them. Otherwise, like, why even fight in this war at all if we're just going to be just like them? And so what ends up happening is that in order for them to stay in their blissful ignorance, Hermione and a few select others end up having to make all the hard choices and make all of the sacrifices so everyone else can stay in their little blissful bubble.
And so then I kind of mentioned this already, but it's the next point, so I'm just going to reiterate it again, which is that at some point we learned that Hermione has destroyed like half a prison where Ginny was held captive to rescue her, but she was already a goddamn mess, frankly, and then Malfoy killed her. Do I have that right?
You, as it stands where you are in the book, yes.
Okay, because really, again, I think you can pick up at 19. A lot of shit goes down 19 to 25. So I'm going to go through like almost every one of those chapters because they're really interesting.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's all just like, it's important. I get it. And like, I know probably philosophically she's like making you sit with Hermione and her pain and suffering. But like, it does get a bit much. And I just was like, okay, I get it. She's sad. This sucks. We hate Draco. I understand. And then by 19, I was like, okay, now some shit's going down.
Yeah, it does pick up really quickly. So, yes, there's a chunk of chapters that is all very, yes, internal and philosophical, but I just love that shit. So I recognize that is,
Listen, you can figure out who you identify with.
Yeah,
That's the good thing about this podcast.
It's fine.
Leah and I aren't the same person. We don't have the same perspective. So if you are like, this Leah girl, she's speaking to me, do what she says. If you're like, I could do without, just skip to 19.
Skip ahead. But then you would miss the paper cranes and you would miss...
Oh my gosh, the paper cranes.
Yes, Narcissus.
Okay. I didn't realize the paper cranes were what we're stopping for. Is it just interesting because that's one of the memories that Voldemort gets rid of for her?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just a deeply personal thing that she did with her dad growing up. And then that was another thing that was taken from her that was tied to her identity.
Yeah.
But it's something that she then... Anyways, it comes back at the end. I'm going to leave it alone.
Okay, sounds good. What else do you have in here?
Narcissus' portrait. We got Voldemort shredding her memories. We have the agoraphobia. We have the Stockholm syndrome, which we need to get into.
That's it. Those are the chapters that I like, though.
They are in those chapters?
Yes,
okay,
yes,
so
yes.
maybe I'm getting wrong. Okay, so then let's get into it.
Should we go into point 5?
Yes.
Okay, so there might be more to Malfoy than meets the eye. I don't know.
There is.
So I don't really want this to be like a book report where I go through all of the things. So here's what we're going to do.
Okay.
I'm going to put you on the witness stand.
Ooh.
And it's going to be like you're a star witness in a trial where I have some questions for you.
Okay. Hit me.
On the night of March 20th, Graham Montague assaults our girl, Hermione Granger. But luckily, the authorities of the manor, one Draco Malfoy, comes to save her. And this is where we get our first clue about how the author is going to pull off that how in the hell are we not going to despise Draco Malfoy? Hermione, from the depths of her mind, thinks, Malfoy always comes for me. Now, Hermione and Malfoy's relationship is not that of a damsel in distress, and Malfoy comes and protects. This is not the vibe. So, why would this be her thought that escapes in this moment of terror? Couldn't it be, Miss Leah, that the reason Hermione thinks Malfoy always comes for me is because they have a previous relationship, perhaps even that they were in love? And couldn't it further be true that he and his proximity to the Dark Lord is the very reason that she would have known how they would try to extract the information from her mind? And couldn't it even further be possible that the way she was able to protect these thoughts might be with the help of an expert wizard like Malfoy? Because wouldn't they know that their relationship would obviously kill Malfoy as a traitor because he likely is sympathetic, if not actually helping the resistance and the rebels? Couldn't it be that he's a turncoat and that all Malfoy's evilness and apathy is just a ploy to keep the Dark Lord in the dark? See what I did there? Until her memories are unlocked and they could figure out what to do together.
One question. What about Hermione makes you think that she would need Malfoy's help with that?
With which part? like locking away her memories.
Yeah.
Well, I think because you said that there are people who are prone to being better at occlumency versus legilimency. And I think that, well, you told me that Hermione was a natural occlumencer. and Draco is obviously very good at legilimency. So I feel like he would have been like, okay, here's like how you got to structure this, because this is what I have been trained to do and what the Dark Lord is obviously going to do, and then what I might have to do to you eventually. Although I don't know if he knew that they were going to get to this point where they were doing all of this handmade stuff. I don't know. I'm under the impression that's kind of like a newer development. Yeah. So I don't know if they were plotting this, that he would have been able to foresee that in particular. But I think that they probably worked together, because I also, at one point, oh my gosh, this is so lovely. So basically what happened was Astoria tries to pull out Hermione's eye. I don't actually know if this is where I'm supposed to be, but I am so disappointed in you, because you're sitting here on the first episode like, I actually feel bad for Astoria, when you knew the whole time that she was going to attempt to poke out not one, but she was going to go for both of Hermione's eyeballs. And you still have the capacity to feel bad for this bitch. I am not here for it. I did not like it one bit. I hated her. I mean, the same amount, because I didn't like her to begin with.
But you didn't like her because she was two-dimensional. Now you don't like her.
But she's still pretty two-dimensional. This is like, my man doesn't like me because you guys were in love before or whatever. I do think, okay, so here's something I do like. I'm not all negative about it, but here's something I do like. I do at this juncture believe that Malfoy is, he has to play a role or they're going to be found out, which is very bad for both of them. And if he was helping with the resistance, everyone else, right? So the stakes are pretty high. He's got to be believable, So I did like, though, that the Dark Lord doesn't seem to be onto him, unless all of the torture that he's doing is something else. Like the Dark Lord is kind of onto him, but he can't find the evidence. That I don't know yet. But he at least is passing as believable enough that they're not coming for him. And so I did like that Astoria was perceptive enough to see all of these little differences in Malfoy's behavior with Hermione that made her jealous.
Yeah, girl's not dumb.
That is the one redeeming thing I can say. I was like, okay, Astoria. So now, chapter 19.
Okay.
Let's talk about this. So chapter 19 is packed. Okay, Malfoy's bitch wife comes in being a jealous bitch, basically. And again, she sees all the little ways that Draco's different with Hermione than he is with her. And so she comes in and tries to poke Hermione's eyeball out. And Draco is in the Czech Republic. Where is he?
Some other country.
Hungary?
Yeah.
Across Belgium?
Across Europe somewhere.
Yeah. He's like 8 countries away, basically.
Yeah.
And so with a flying leap, he comes and saves Hermione. Now, I will say that Malfoy, to me, in the way that he is described as a character, this to me feels like the Timothée Chalamet kind of vibe, skinny and rat-faced.
Wait, I'm sorry. Who is Timothée Chalamet?
What?
I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so here's the trend that's happening in the youth. They are attracted to...
I have crossed the generational divide.
They are attracted to rat-faced, skinny men.
Okay.
That's what they're called. I don't think Timothée Chalamet looks like a rat. Do not come for me. That's what people are saying, okay? It's the description that everyone else in the world is giving. But okay. Timothée Chalamet is a very talented actor. He plays Bob Dylan in whatever that movie about Bob Dylan is that just came out. Did he win an Academy Award? He's nominated for an Academy Award. He won an Academy Award.
Oh, he's the Dune kid.
He's the Dune kid.
Okay.
He's also in Dune.
Got it. Okay.
Yes. He's a very talented actor. But here's my whole point about this is that, Malfoy seems like not like a Superman kind of character. So this is his, come to the rescue of Lois Lane in like this superhuman way.
Yeah.
Because you're not supposed to be able to leap like 8 planets, even if you are a magician.
A magician.
A wizard.
Yes, even for wizarding standards, what he did was crazy. Yeah.
And so then this is where this says, I love this scene. He has to try to fix Hermione's eyeball. Astoria pokes, she doesn't get it like all the way out, but she definitely does some damage. And so Malfoy has to try to repair it, and he asks Hermione to give him the spell, and then he has a unexpected proficiency because these healing spells require a very specific gentle touch, and he is able to do that, which further gave me my case that they were in cahoots the whole time before, because it was almost like he was trained by an expert healer. And they go to great pains to talk about how Hermione was the expertiest healerist of them all. She traveled all of the continental Europe to learn all of these tricks and went to all of the best healing hospital. I don't know where she all went.
Yeah, all the
She went a lot of
training
places.
programs and apprenticeships and
She
all the things. Yeah.
Put in the fucking work. She learned the things. And I think she probably taught her man a thing or two.
Yeah, that's probably an excellent theory.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
By the way, I have this point in my notes somewhere, but what is happening for me right now, being right about all of these things that I am reading, that's just fantastic writing. So, like, all writers know that there are going to be various levels of the people who are reading our shit. And there are going to be people who really pay attention and read all of the subcontext and the subtext. And they really go to great lengths to try to, like, think about the book deeply. And then there are people who are just gonna be like, Draco's hot, and like just read through it, whatever. I'm not, no shade. If you think Draco's hot and you want to read it, amazing. No problem. But I do like,
You might not pick this book. Pick another book.
there are apparently thousands you choose from. And so I do think that she's done an excellent job of like seeding these ways that you can read a lot into it and create your own theories. And then I hope that some of my theories are right and some of them are wrong. That's the best place to be as a reader. Not that you've predicted everything. That's what makes a book boring, when you're like, yep, saw that ending coming, right? Like, that sucks. And so I think she does an impeccable job of seeding these little Easter eggs for people to either pick up or not. And I'm sure it's an even much more enjoyable exercise, like when you taught me about how Harry Potter was always talked about, like the boy who lived, and then Voldemort says the boy that died. It's like, things like that are fucking dope.
There's so much that we could talk through. But considering your theories, that Draco and Hermione were at minimum in cahoots together, as you say, possibly in love. Now think back to like that whole first act from his perspective. That's such a mindfuck, right? Because Hermione is obviously in a horrible state, right? She's got the manacles. She's being raped on a consistent basis. But can you imagine being a person who had to rape someone you cared about? And because if you didn't, she would be executed or tortured and then executed. And those were your choices. And then you find yourself sympathizing with the rapist and you're like, am I a monster?
Yeah.
Like, what is wrong with me?
Yeah, there is a point where Hermione goes and eavesdrops on the spring fling party or whatever they're doing, the spring equinox party, and that Astoria is hosting, because she always has to be in the newspaper. So Hermione overhears that basically all of the rest of the handmaids like have it real bad. That Draco is doing his duty, but kind of doing it as least terrible as possible. And that's like a lot of her inner monologue that's happening in, I think, chapters 20, 21, around there, where she's like, I mean, I hate to say it could be worse, but I guess it could be. And then she does get threatened that if she doesn't get pregnant, she'll be given to Lucius, which we learned last time is Draco's dad. And he's really got a bone to pick because of what happened to his wife. And so, like, that's a way worse scenario. So, again, Draco is put in a position of, now I really have to get you pregnant or my dad is going to destroy you.
Oh, so much. So, yeah, so she's at the, I'm going to call it the spring fling party because I like it so much better. So she's at the spring fling party. And yeah, so she overhears all of these gruesome stories about how all the other handmaids are being treated.
Yeah.
She had kind of assumed that they were all in a similar situation to her, right? Like they were just, for the most part, locked away and then brought out to be impregnated and then put back away in their, little holding cell. Come to find out, like, no, they're actually just brutally raped all the time.
Yeah.
So she gets that information on top of just being in a constant state of terror all the time.
Yeah.
She starts to recognize that she's experiencing Stockholm syndrome because she can't maintain that level of fear consistently all day, every day. And so she knows her body and her brain are trying to protect her by rationalizing some of these things. Like, at least I'm being raped tastefully. Like,
Right.
But then she's like, how am I possibly trying to rationalize the fact that I'm being raped? So there's like these layers of trauma over and over again.
And so then my point number 6, I got a lot of points on this one, is magic babies apparently need some magic baby. So like basically the working theory from Stroud of why Hermione has not been impregnated yet is that it's too clinical. They're just doing the table and the from behind, and that the magic baby needs to feel something more, apparently, in order to...
Which, considering the way the other handmaids are being treated, makes absolutely no sense. But, But carry on.
Yeah. And so they go through this whole thing so they start doing it on the bed and face to face, basically. And Draco really does not enjoy this. He's taking potions, giving her potions, throwing up afterwards.
Well, yeah. Okay. Look, back up. Because basically, what Stroud does is to make this more enjoyable. Yeah. It gives Hermione a potion to make her extremely aroused.
Yeah.
And so then she's in a position where, she's being essentially turned on by rape, like physically, but in her mind, she's so entirely disgusted and feels entirely betrayed by her body. That scene was so hard to read because Draco's experiencing the same thing.
Yeah.
And as we talked about earlier, he knows her on a level that she doesn't actually know him anymore.
Right.
And so then, he is vomiting afterwards. Oh, God. It was so
brutal.
Hard to read.
Yeah. My point number 7 is it love or a potion? So I have another working theory starting on chapter 23. Hermione and Severus are in his potion lab because she's becoming his little apprentice, which also the Harry Potter and the rest of them do not like. All of her friends are pissed at her. And Severus is brewing love potions. That seems like an odd memory to surface.
I mean, that's essentially what is coming back. Like, Severus was trying to find ways to make, women more compliant.
Yeah.
Like, not because he wanted to, but because he was being ordered to. Yeah. And fun fact for anyone who is coming into this having read Harry Potter, but not Manacled. Yeah, Snape is still alive in this version, which he obviously dies in the original. But anyways.
Well, okay. So I actually was second guessing whether Draco and Hermione were in love or if it was the potion. So you don't have to answer that, but like that's what's in my mind. That's actually more of what I was thinking. It actually seemed too linear to be like, oh, like he was brewing the kind of potion that was like the aphrodisiac for her. I actually didn't even think it was like that straightforward. I thought it was more alluding to questioning if Hermione and Draco were actually in love or if one of them had taken a potion, like pre all of this, to convince each other or to convince whoever was playing the game that they were in love with the other person. That's actually what I meant more of. But I bet that's not right because obviously your reaction says it's not. But that was my working theory, actually.
It's not a bad theory. I guess you'll find out.
I will find out how they actually fall in love for real. Point number 8, again, SenLin, Master of Sadness, right? So that's how I ended this whole section in the margins last time. Really effective continuation of the staccato nature of her writing. Very short, little fucking devastating sentences. And at one point in chapter 11, man, she just writes this one sentence, which absent of the rest of the context is a throwaway sentence, but it just says she wanted a hug. And I was like, Hermione. Oh, you poor thing. Like, I'm not a hugger, but bish, I'd hug you.
I mean, can you imagine, just being in a situation where your only physical contact was clinical or abuse
Right.
for years, really?
Yeah.
So, just wanting some form of small physical touch that was affectionate and not harmful.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Okay, so that was point 8, and I bet you think I'm done, but I'm not.
She's never.
I have one last point, which is point 9, and this is drunk Malfoy. Here's what basically happens in chapter 23. Malfoy gets drunk and kisses her against a wall.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like as a reader, I was like, oh yeah. Because like at this point, I'm like, they're already in love. And like, you know, he's really holding it down and trying his best. And he has what I perceive as just a little bit of steam to blow off. Can I get a little bit drunk once and just like make out with my girlfriend? You know, like it kind of felt like that to me. And it was a well-written scene and the whole thing, but I don't know. And then like she gets into it and he sort of like remembers himself and takes a potion to be sober right away, which like what's the point of getting all those calories if you're just getting sober right away? I think that's a total fucking waste. Shows my age, but like I don't know that he would really do that.
Yeah, but I mean, as a storyteller, you have to show a crack in his facade at some point, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, Draco is a man with a plan, right? And behind all the scenes, all of his carefully laid plans are falling apart. And he just, we just went through, you know, the much more emotionally traumatic rape scene.
Yeah.
That is bringing up all kinds of shit for him. And yeah, he's probably just like, he's at his breaking point. He can't hang much longer because this, has gone on far longer than he anticipated.
I see. All right. On to the writer's desk. This is a section where we talk about technique, narrative structures, thematic choices, blah, 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 blah. So this is where I made my first point, which I already made, which is that writers like when they make readers think they're smart. And so the cross-examination that I did of my witness earlier, that diatribe, is wild speculation. And so that's a good cornerstone of good writing, is when you as a reader are going through things and you're like, I knew it. I knew it, when you actually read that thing happens that you predicted.
Yeah.
And then again, as I mentioned, when you can be surprised by other things that you totally didn't see coming, that is just a great experience.
And you're going to get so many more.
I'm very excited.
So excited for you.
My point number 2 is something I alluded to a little bit, but warnings in literature. Okay, so chapter 21 starts with this warning. I'm going to read it. Author's note, a gentle reminder that depiction is not authorial endorsement. Basically, I ain't saying it's right. And then she continues, third person limited point of view necessarily involves some distortions of vision and misconstrued events. But it is what it is. This is on the 2 chapters where she takes the aphrodisiac potion and then starts to enjoy, her body starts to enjoy the rape, and there's this disassociation between her mind and whatever. And so this to me is the author basically saying that, like, hey, I don't agree with, I'm not saying this is like a good thing. This is just my interpretation of where Hermione's mind would be at in this circumstance. And I see this in a lot of actual book descriptions. Like I've seen book descriptions that are like, no, but nobody dies, or like they end up together at the end because it's a romance. Like that is part of the category of a romance book. They always should end happily ever after. And so I don't know, what are we fucking doing here? Because I feel like if you gave a reader's warning on the Grapes of Wrath about its last scene, if you don't know what happens, weird. It would like ruin it. I don't have any problem with the trigger warnings at the beginning, but I think like the mid chapter, like, hey, just so you remember, this is a story. Like a little bit, I was like, isn't this for adults? Can we not just read?
Yes. And okay. I have 2 sides to this thought, actually. On one hand, yes, I think there just needs to be some built-in trigger warnings. And because of the way that this was published chapter by chapter, she's again giving the reader like, hey, this is where some of the really traumatic things happen. If you want to skip to the next chapter, this might be a good time to do so. On the other side, some people, just want a certain type of ending. They want to read a certain type of story, right? They're like, I have enough fucking shit in my life and I don't need to add more to this. So, right, they want to know, is this going to be a happy ending? Because if it's not, I'm just not really emotionally prepared for this right now.
Yeah.
So I think there's a little bit of that, but I do wish that it was optional, right? Like that those, for the most part would be like, if you want to, yes, read the triggers. If you want to have a hint on what type of ending this is, read over here. If not, that's a good idea. But one thing you brought up too is like the idea of like a happy ending romance. Did you know that as a genre, categorically, in a romance, they have to end up together?
Yes.
But in a love story, they don't.
Yeah.
So books like Normal People or Alone with You in the Ether, which adore, would be categorically a love story and not a romance.
Yeah. Yes, I did know that.
Because you know all the things. So.
Well, I don't know all of the things, obviously. I get a lot of shit wrong. However, I did know that about romance. Which is why I find it particularly irritating when I look at a romance on like Amazon. It's like they end up together. I'm like, obviously,
they have to.
Romance. It's part of the genre. It's like saying like a fantasy book is going to have magic. Obviously, it's going to have magic. They all do.
Now I'm trying to think of a fantasy book that does not, in fact, have magic.
Every fantasy should have a magic system. Part of the genre.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Otherwise, it's
sci-fi, maybe.
Or,
So like my book is sci-fi fantasy because it has both elements of like I have to explain. So in Dungeons and Dragons, I believe I am not a dungeon master by any means, but I had a friend explain to me that in Dungeons and Dragons, they think about magic from like hard to soft criteria.
Yeah, that's fair.
And like I like hard magic. I don't like it's kind of in my critique of in the first episode even where I'm like legitimacy feels like the trump card. It feels a little too good to be true. I don't love that because that to me is softer magic where it's a little bit like magic. Like how did Malfoy get all the way there when he's not supposed to? Magic, you know, like he's just that amazing. Like that to me feels a little like I'd want it to be like, well, he had to steal 2 other wizard thumbs. In order to I don't know.
Side note.
Yes.
One thing that SenLinYu shared about the writing process for writing Alchemized, she's like, how do you basically tell the same story in a different world?
Yeah.
And she's like, some of the things that you would think would be really hard were actually not that hard to restructure. She's like, the hardest part actually about this story was trying to tell this story in a world where people can't just like teleport from one location to the other. She's like, that one was actually really hard.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
And then point number 3 that I have here is there's a ratcheting up of the stakes. One of the exercises that I love to do when I'm writing is to think how I can increase the stakes over and over and over again to think about how high they can go. And so I liked that ratcheting up of the threat of her going to Lucius. Lucius. That makes it looks like Lucius, but in my head, phonetically, I'm saying Lucius for some reason. I do think that I brought this up in the first episode where I thought she was doing a really good job of closing off the walls so that a reader was like, well, why doesn't she just, and why doesn't she just, and why doesn't she just? And there are some of the reason that I don't like so many of the chapters between, say, 7 and 18 is that it feels like there's a lot of things in there for like Harry Potter fans that I just don't know anything about. And so they just ended up being like a lot of extra detail that I was like, do I care about ley lines? Like at some point, like the cage in Lucius's lair that she like happens upon, they talk about ley line. And I just was like, do I care about this eventually? But like, not enough at the beginning.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, if I wasn't doing this podcast, I'd be like, you know what like, it just is, there was a lot of that in the middle where even if it does come back around, I bet I don't, like, again, if I'm not doing this podcast, I wouldn't probably remember that it happened anyways, which I think that is the hard thing about exposition that I think about in my books all the time is like, I have all these little things that I think are super important, but then I really have to go like, I mean, are they like worth my reader's time, like for real? Or can I, if I didn't include it here and I included it later, is it going to feel like a big enough payoff? I have yet to decide, I guess, if all of these little things that I'm like, I don't care, are big enough later.
That is something that the sign of a really good author is if they can drop those small details of the things that may not be important yet, but will be important in the future in a way that feels narratively seamless.
Yeah.
Is really hard to do.
It's really hard.
Really hard to do.
Yeah.
Because, at one point you're like, do I really care about this? Like if you get too many at one time.
Yeah.
Or you get, like the info dumping where you're like, I don't care. Or then you get to when it's actually important, you're like, wait, I don't have enough context for how this is possible.
Yeah.
So, it's a fine line. It's really challenging.
Yeah. For me, it's like an 8 out of 10 right now, but that's probably, I'm not all the way through the book. So maybe the 2 out of 10, I'm going to be like, those were amazing points. But I do think there are things sort of just left dangling. Like at one point, like she reads the newspaper where they expose that she has been given to Draco. And it's sort of like, ooh, like, is there going to be a rescue mission here?
Mm-hmm.
But then she never like really thinks about it again. So I'm like, well, that was kind of a bummer, because it sort of like sets you up that like this is going to be a continuing thing that you're talking about. And so even if she eventually gets rescued, do I think that her reading it in the news, I don't know, like it feels like it's probably not going to have a great payoff to me, but we will see.
That's fair. There's not a huge payoff, but that's what she thinks that Montague is. She's like, what if he's part of
the rescue party?
The rescue party, and that's why he's
that's a good point.
Being so intentional about searching every corner of the mansion.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's why he's so insistent. So she's like, I don't want to like tip anything off if he is, right? 'Cause she doesn't remember who he is.
All right. I'll buy that. I like that. Sure. So some of these points we like already covered in the previous episode. I think that the everyone's the hero of their own story continues to be a main theme here. And I am absolutely living for this Hermione against Harry Potter. I fucking love that shit. I think that's dope. And I think it is that, Harry Potter is positioned as this sort of boy who can do no fucking wrong. Mm-hmm. And then Hermione is like, actually, behind closed doors, kind of a loser, like, or whatever. Not a loser, but, just like, and obviously not as chosen as y'all thought, because he dies.
Yeah. One thing I thought she did really well is she made you as the reader understand all the ways that Harry intentionally isolated Hermione. Like now, even when you go back, you're like, oh yeah, she's always just kind of been treated as this third wheel.
Yeah.
But those thoughts aren't coming directly from Hermione in the story. So Hermione, loves Harry and Ron to the end, right? Is loyal to them.
Yeah.
To the end. Yet as the reader, you're like, but they're really kind of fucking you over.
Yeah. Like, even Draco is the one who's like, sounds like they don't really fuck with you.
Right. Sounds like they don't actually care about you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was actually what I found in some of the other fanfics as well, is Ron is just sort of like universally hated by anyone who is a fan of Hermione. Harry kind of goes either way. He can be good or bad, but Ron is universally disliked.
That's amazing. I love that. Point number, I have no idea, is the role of the press. So this is something that I really loved. One of the reasons that I love sci-fi or fantasy in particular is because it takes you out of the logistics of this world. So it lets you disassociate a little bit with like, oh, this is like a wizardy world. But you should also be constantly kind of like in the back of your mind thinking like, what's happening here that also reflects maybe what's happening in the real world, right? And so I had two main thoughts here. One is that just stylistically, I loved the kind of like Lady Whistledown society paper tone that this newspaper has. I thought that was very charming. And then two, right, like I like how Voldemort uses the press to his advantage, and that really ultimately the handmaids are not about repopulation at all. They're about keeping people distracted on like what's actually happening. And he uses the press to spread rumors about who is doing things in the war, that it's the rebels that destroyed that hospital, or it's the rebels that did this other thing or whatever. I just think that's very much like how bad guys use the press.
Yeah, it's a lot of, magician misdirection. Like, don't look over here, look over here.
And then this is my last point. Talk about an ending that is, I really had to pull myself away from starting on Act 2 to do this thing. Basically, Act 1 ends with a series of mostly uncredited quotes. I'm just going to read some for you. You seem pleased to have successfully hoarded yourself. Happy to know you've got your chess piece locked in place. That's why I thought maybe like Hermione gives Draco the love potion to have him fall in love with her because she wants to use him as part of the resistance and she doesn't think that, I don't know. She doesn't think it would happen without a potion, maybe.
Sure.
You're mine. You swore yourself to me, growled into her ear. That one's got a little bit of that. And then finally, Malfoy was standing over her, his face white, his eyes glittering with rage. I have warned you. If something happens to you, I will personally raise the entire order. Is it Raz or raise?
I think it's raise.
I think so too. But it sounds weird when you say it because it sounds like it's like raise the order, but it's R-A-Z-E. Okay, that's why you should read instead of just listen to this. That isn't a threat. It is a promise. Consider your survival as much a necessity to the survival of the resistance as Potter's. If you die, I will kill every last one of them. Malfoy.
Yeah, how did you not continue reading? Oh, man.
Because
Couldn't stop.
I am committed to this podcast's format. Damn it. Okay.
How did we get through this whole thing without even like addressing Montague's assault?
Oh, I kind of just went over. Well, okay, so like Montague, I mean, I don't know. I just don't want to talk about it, I guess.
That's fair. It was gruesome. It was hard to read.
To your point about how brutal when they have sex and like enjoy it, but they don't wanna. That is worse than the chapter 6 rape to me. Oh. The Montague scene is worse than the chapter 6 rape. Like
it's awful.
Like the Montague thing is terrible, and then Draco disembowels him and the whole thing. Yeah.
And that was what kicked off Astoria trying to gouge Hermione's eye out.
Yes.
So, like, it was like...
Yeah, I just skipped over it.
Trauma on top of trauma.
I was going to let you get away without ever knowing that. I mean, ever knowing the details. But, well, I guess we still didn't really talk about the details. But yeah, he, like, bites her. And
oh, God.
He's gross.
Gruesome.
He's gross.
He's sick.
He's gross. Okay. Canon. Who are all these people? Is my point one. So, like, this is kind of like I already said. There's lots of names in the middle chapters, and I'm just like, I don't know who these people are. Amicus Caro, Mulcialiber, Alveri. Like, when you read these names, are you like, ooh, this is like all the stuff that I remember from Harry Potter? Or are you like,
Yeah, so some of those names I feel are more catered to the diehards. So,
okay.
Yes, Harry Potter fandom is a spectrum.
Right.
And so there are people who like, yeah, I watched the movies. They were good. It was great. And then like on the other side of the spectrum, there are people who are like, no, I, read the books obsessively as kids. I know the names and details of all of Dumbledore's cousins and shit. I don't know.
I know
everything. You cannot out trivia me about Harry Potter. Okay. So I would say I didn't read them as a kid, so I didn't read them until I was an adult. So I'm like, yeah, I read the books, watched the movies. They're good. I'm for it. But I am more dedicated to Manacled than I ever was with Harry Potter. So just to give caveats for anyone coming in, depending if you are like a diehard fan over here, like this just may not be for you, and that's totally fine. That being said, some of those names that you mentioned, yeah, they're like, again, minor villains to bring in some of the people who are like hardcore fans, but they're not like narratively necessary.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
All right. They're just more like a nod.
Okay, fair enough. My second point here is what is happening in the real world? Because they like to get to this world, right? It's like the magical 8.5-foot door or whatever the fuck, right?
9 3/4.
9 3/4. 8.5. I was pretty close.
Somewhere.
That's just coming off my memory. I did not Google that. I was like 8.5, I think, or something. Anyways, what is happening in England while all of this is happening in Harry Potter land?
It's all a little hazy. So, yeah, it feels a little brushed over, to your point. The wizarding world, the magical world has to stay, like, under the radar. They can't let Buggles know what's going on. And so throughout the whole war, Voldemort is threatening, exposing the whole wizarding community. So that's all a point of contention as well, which you'll get into later. So yes, so technically, yeah, the world is kind of going on as normal, but now all of a sudden, like these pockets of why are all of a sudden like these massacres becoming more, prevalent across Europe?
Yeah. Okay. And then question 2. So as I mentioned, Voldemort uses the press to be like, I'm the good guy. But he is literally the Dark Lord. They call him the Dark Lord. He uses the dark magic. His brand is very, I'm the bad guy. So when he's like, oh, but the rebels blew up that thing. Like, I mean, nuh-uh. You know what I mean? Like, why? Who would believe that?
I mean, I guess it doesn't matter if they believe it or not, as long as they're either fearful enough or apathetic enough to just not intervene.
So who's in the magic world that's like apathetic? Like what are they doing over there? Like if you're not going to be with him or against him, you're just like fucking chilling there being a clerk?
Yeah. Well, yeah, if you're in another country where the battles are not going on, like you have a choice whether or not you're going to join and intervene or stay on the sideline and see, let's just wait and see how this plays out.
I see. All right. Dark marks, darker thoughts. Point number 1. The Dark Order needs an HR department. Bad. Okay. So at some point, Hermione realizes that Voldemort is also torturing Malfoy. This motherfucker's just like the worst boss. And I feel like as an organization, he must have employees quiet quitting on him all the time. And he also, I think Malfoy is with the Resistance, and duh, because your boss is a fucking asshole.
Right. I mean, I don't think being a Death Eater comes with a whole lot of like health benefits or work-life balance.
You gotta really think about that when you're making that choice.
It's kind of a shit gig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you want to be a bad guy? Well, have you ever thought about how you're gonna pay for your kids' braces? Probably not.
Probably didn't know how, frequent torture sessions would be coming. Yeah.
Yeah. My second thing is, man, everyone's obsessed with women being hairless.
I'm so glad that you bring this up, actually, because finish your point and then I will comment. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, so there, at one point, I don't even remember who comes in. Stroud comes in. At one of Hermione's check-ins, Stroud runs a curse along her so that she becomes hairless everywhere, and she's like, oh, that might burn for a little bit, but some of the rapists have been complaining. So we're just doing this with everybody. And I don't listen, I think we take hair back. Fuck it, let's get hairy, ladies.
I agree, let's bring hair back.
Yeah, make hair cool again.
Did you ever read the Outlander series?
I did not.
Okay. There's this, obviously, so she goes back in time,
yes,
falls in love with a guy in the 1700s,
right?
This whole thing. She's not shaving at this point anymore, even though she's used to in her old life. So at one point, she's in France, and this is a common practice in France that was not, in fact, in Scotland. And so there's this whole scene between them where she waxes, and he's like, "What the fuck did you just do?"
Yeah,
and she's like perfumed herself, and she's like, "I thought you'd like it." He's like, "Am I a bumblebee? Like what?" It was just so good. So anyways, yes, I think we should bring hair back.
Yeah, bring it back. All right, we are rapidly wrapping up. We are going to end with the to be continued, because this journey does continue for me. And so to be continued, I've already spelled out a lot of what I think is going to happen in Act 2. I'm sure there are tons of details that I cannot wait to grasp. I want some juicy paragraphs upon chapters about Hermione not getting along with Harry Potter and his friends. I want that bad. I want to know where Draco and Hermione first meet and how they get all together and the whole thing. I want to know what's happening with Ginny. Again, I misread that she had a baby, but I do think she has a child, and that then maybe that baby is with Hermione's parents, and that's why Hermione's parents are all locked away, because you got to put her somewhere that isn't going to be obvious, him or her. I guess I don't know why I assume this child is a girl. I don't know. Things are coming to me. I don't know what they are. And then part 2, in episode 1, I said that I thought maybe Draco designed her chains, but now I've changed my mind, because he keeps looking at them like he's trying to figure out how to get her out of them, because I think that these things, again, are brand new magic, or whatever. Like they're a brand new invention that even he isn't sure how to manage. And if he's going to get her out of this situation, he's going to have to figure out how to get those things off.
I'm not going to get away.
Okay.
You're onto it.
So that's what those are my wild speculations. And I am going to read Act 2. And then our third episode is going to be all about Act 2.
I can't wait.
And then Act 3 is going to be episode 4. And by then, Alchemized should be released.
It's going to be a ride.
And then we're going to review that.
We will have
It'll be really fun.
so much to unpack. So,
Are you going to read it slowly with me?
Alchemize?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
You're going to have to take good notes. Remember where you were at each point.
I will probably like slam through it and then go back and I will reread it with you.
Okay. That sounds good.
Deal?
Yep.
Okay.
And we'll see you there, hopefully.
Bye. See ya.